Hey guys, welcome back. Today it's Guns of Glory yet again. And right now we're going to be talking about True March, how to set up your march to not die, I suppose, to win the battle, question mark. But True Marches are cool and all, but there's different ways that you can set them up. There's different ways to set up the troops that you're making. So let's go ahead and get into that whole troop thing. Alright, so you can get ahead and go right into the guy standing in the front of the line. Basically, I'm just going to run through this really quickly and then we'll get more into depth. So, in the front of your march, just imagine this like a line. You have like, who's the line leader back in kindergarten? The infantry are going to be your line leader. They're going to stand up front. Then you're going to have the cavalry behind them. They're ready to run, trample over your infantry. They're like a middle sibling. No one loves them, but they're there. And then you have, well, don't say that. We haven't gotten to the artillery yet. That's like the inbred Alabama kind of family that, everyone just shoves into the basement. But back into the line, you have infantry, cavalry, distance. Distance stands in the back, best for last. And then you have your artillery. Artillery can go in the front or the back. Always train the ones that can go in the back because those are the ones that will stay alive. So let's go ahead and start off with our stop being stupid. Our infantry. So there's going to be two types of infantry within infantry. Remember, use the highest tier available to you, but then we're also going to have to use a lower tier. And then you'll see as we go down, it's a good idea to have even more tiers than just the two tiers that make up the two types of infantry. So we're going to have pikemen, which is increased defense against riflemen, which is your distance troops. And then you're going to have musketeers, increased defense against light cavalry. Now as I go down the line, you'll see that they continue to alternate and freeze. So going through this, you'll also find out that it's a good idea to take your highest tier, have a lot of them. Take your second highest tier, which is your next type, and have a good, healthy amount of them. Depending on your troop march capacity, everyone has a different march capacity. It is so weird. So many variables play into march capacity, which I will cover in this video. And then from there, you're going to have a couple of each other tier going down the line, all the way down to like tier 3. I would say would be a good place to stop, depending on your city level. So now, after that, we can go ahead and get into the jumpy boys, the cavalry, the middle sibling. So you're going to have the light cavalry, which is increased attack against riflemen. These cavalry want to go ahead and kill the distance, which is very nice of them. I appreciate that. And then tier 9 you'll see is the exact same as tier 10, loser. And then we're going to have the heavy cavalry at tier 8, which is increased attack against pikemen. So pikemen is going to be the guys that are going to kill the infantry. They're going to help your distance kill the infantry. And again, it's going to continue to alternate with light and heavy cavalry. And then we can go ahead and get into our distance. These guys are at the back of the line. So we have riflemen, which is increased attack against all cavalry and artillery. That is fantastic. They do a lot of something. And then from here we're going to have the grenadiers, which is increased attack against musketeers. Musketeers are, I already forgot, but that's called your infantry. So as you go down the line again, it's going to continue to alternate. Now, with artillery really quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and explain. Mortars are going to be your distance, and then you're going to have cannons help protect by absorbing the brunt of the opposition trap attack. Do not use cannons. Cannons are going to be standing at the front. They're going to be the first ones to die. Use your mortars. And that's why I don't have T10s, because I don't want cannons. Now, maybe. We'll see. When I get to C35, we'll see if I want to spend and waste my resources on getting T11 artillery. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about how can you set up your march capacity to be optimized. So let's go ahead and get into it. First and foremost, your city level. City level dictates how many troops you can take into battle. Now with my city, I have 102,000 base march capacity as well as a 10%. So that's going to be 114,000 march capacity right off the bat base. Now let's talk about some other things that help benefit my march capacity. We can go into talents. If you're in the war category, you'll see that there are some slots for march capacity somewhere along the line, and each level here will give you 1,000 march capacity, so it's a little bit, but it does help. And then when we're over here, we can go into academy and we can take a look at combat, and we'll also get march capacity here as well. And let me see if March Combat 2 will have march capacity. I don't believe it does, but it does. But here it's going to be a lot more expensive, and it's going to be 5,000 per level instead. Okay, now other places where we can get march capacity. Let's take a look at our airship, and it's the very first assault skill that will pop up here in a second. March capacity, March of Fury, that will give you your march capacity as well. This only applies to marches with your airship in it, so keep that in mind. Other places we can get march capacity, oh, trust me, there's a lot more. You have the talent. Commander's Horn? Yes, Commander's Horn will give you an additional 15% march capacity. Great. That gives you an additional 50% off the top end. Another place we can get more march capacity, Colossal March. This will give you 10% for a period of 30 minutes. That's also great for using in your big battles for the day. And then another place where we can get march capacity is going to be in our heroes. If you have a 4-star strategist of Madame Lenoy or Jules Mazarin, that'll give you about 23,000 to 25,000 additional march capacity. And then additional places where we can get march capacity include, too far. Just wait for this airship to move out of the way. We'll include your march capacity state buff, and this can give you 25 to 50% depending on which buff you are using. So that will dictate your march capacity, and now we can go ahead and set up our marches. Okay, so our march is set up, and now we're ready to go. So let's go ahead, and we want a good healthy amount of our highest tier. So based on my march, I can afford to have about 50,000 of infantry cavalry, and then a little more distance because I actually want to kill the enemy rather than just playing tag with them. And then we can go into our next tier. And remember, T8 in cavalry is where we actually get the bonuses for cavalry. So let me go ahead and make that a lot higher than my T9s, just cuz. And now, when we go down the line, this is going to be my march without artillery. So if I'm playing KVK, or if I'm playing another event, I don't want artillery, or if I'm attacking an enemy that really doesn't have a lot of traps, this will be my march. You want a good healthy amount of your first, then a good healthy amount of your second tier, and then work your way down the line and continue having a good amount of each other tier to help benefit your tiers. Now, you'll notice I don't have really much of any diversity when it comes to my distance marches for their tiers, because I'm not worrying about my distance dying. They're just sitting in the back of the line. I am betting on my infantry and cavalry to do the killing. If my infantry and cavalry manage to all die, and it's only my distance left, I've already lost the battle. Why even bother sending weaker distance? Go ahead and send your better distance of the 2 tiers into battle so that they can do the killing for you. More on this note, having the lower tiers, the benefit of that is they're cheaper to maintain. They'll go into your hospitals after your higher tiers. So you send them in because, well, they're fluff. They'll stand in front of, if you have a T5, it'll stand in front of your T9, even if it's the same type. So let's say you have heavy infantry. Your heavy infantry T5 will stand in front of your T9 heavy infantry, and they'll die first, which will protect your more expensive, better troops. So we'll go ahead and save that. Now, it's the exact same story for your second march with artillery, but just add a little bit of your best mortars, the guys that are going to stand up in the back. So I have 15,000, that's what I feel like wasting on this march, and then pretty much everything else will remain the same. And then I'll go ahead and send in my T8 cavalry. I put 0 effort whatsoever into that march. Please do not judge me. If you do judge me, I won't care. But that pretty much sums it up. If you all have any questions, feel free to ask me. You can DM me in game, online at CAPT_cowboy, or on the YouTube where this video will soon be posted. Thank you all for watching. I hope all of you somewhat enjoyed it and hate my monotone voice because I'm tired.